Let me know when you're ready, Lori. Good evening and welcome to your Valley County Planning and Zoning Commission's March 13th, 2025 Planning and Zoning meeting. I'll call this meeting to order at 6:01. Can we get approval for our minutes for February 13th and February 20th?
Roll call.
Oh, sorry. Cinda, can I get roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Schneider.
Here.
Potter.
Here.
Babe.
Here.
And Commissioners Oyarzo and Roberts are excused.
Thank you, Cinda. All right, and then for the minutes for February 13th and February 25th, if I can get approval for those.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 13th, 2025 and February 25th, 2025.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. We will approve the February 13th and February 25th minutes. First on the agenda this evening, we do have CUP 20-36 Highway 55 Storage Amendment and Extension Request that was tabled from February 13th, 2025. This is an action item, and at this time I will open the public hearing. Has there been any ex parte contact, or does anyone have a conflict of interest?
No.
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 Yeah, you should probably remove it from the table.
Okay.
It was tabled, so.
Okay, and since this CUP 20-36 has been tabled, can I get a motion to remove it from the table?
I'll make a motion to remove CUP 20-36 from the table.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Do we vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Staff, may we have your staff report?
Okay, the staff report for CUP 20-36 Highway 55 Amendment and Extension Request. The applicant, property owner is Tom Gibbons, Still National, Wiseman LLC. The site is located at 11 Coho Lane. It's approximately 10 acres within a 24-acre parcel. They're requesting a 2-year extension of the CUP that was to be completed by February 23rd of 2025. Approval of the most recent site plan for CUP 20-36 allowed 6 large story buildings, 4 covered RV parking areas, and 3 smaller storage buildings for a total of 14 structures. Currently, 2 covered RV parking areas, 3 large storage buildings, and 3 smaller storage buildings are completed. The site plan was attached. The applicant would like to reconfigure some of the storage unit buildings to covered parking. The overall number of buildings will not change. Gravel will be hauled in to raise the back portion of the facility to the required height. The underground retention and utilities are already installed, and the site is accessed from Coho Lane, a public road. The extension request was submitted on December 9th. Legal notice was properly done to Star News, neighbors, agencies, posted on site and our website. Agency comments received. Jess Ellis, Donley Fire Marshal, required the following on January 22nd. Fire suppression water storage tank shall be completed and tested. The entry gate shall be installed according to code and re-inspected, and then all other requirements shall remain in effect. Mike Reno, Central District Health, has no objections. Emily Hart, McCall Airport Manager, has no comments, and then we got our typical boilerplate letter from DEQ. Public comments received. Scott Henson, 13274 Rainbow Road, wants to make sure that landscaping requirements are upheld. Judy and Frank, that reside in Coho Estates, state the landscape burn should be fixed, the soil needs improved, and the dead trees replanted. All structures should be retrofitted to support snow load and prevent additional collapses. Staff comments and questions. The applicant should clarify exactly what Phase 2 will entail. A revised site plan showing an updated site map, noting the office location, covered parking, and enclosed storage units shall be submitted to staff prior to approval of the additional building permits. The applicant should address whether the fill will change the stormwater management. may need revised approval from the Valley County engineer for that stormwater management plan. Because at the back of the site, I've been down this road in the spring, there's a big pond right here. And so if they bring in gravel, I don't know if that's gonna cause the relocation of any water to flow across this driveway. That's a question. Valley Fire will have to approve the building plans before they're issued. Condition of approval number 11, 12, and 13. Landscaping was to be installed prior to October 1st of 2021. The berm along Coho Lane has been constructed. There are trees along the eastern boundary. Landscaping has been completed between the two entrances shown on the site plan. However, landscaping still needs to be added on either side of the entrances. Sign permits are required. The large banner sign on the side of the easternmost building does not meet Valley County sign requirements. Cross Property Management, who is managing the property, has been told to remove the sign. And when this was done, he had removed it, but I believe he's removed it now. It was snowy. It was very snowy. And so if you look up here, this is an aerial, and these are the structures that are placed. Here is the approved site plan. This is the north. This is the south. So these yellow highlighted are what's constructed. And here is the landscaping plan. This was approved by the P&Z Commission on February 11th of 2021. And this is the landscaping here. I think those were the only pictures we had of the landscaping because it was in the winter. That ends my staff report.
Thank you, Cinda. Any questions for staff?
Did the supplemental staff report have other?
You send out a supplemental one?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you guys have those, basically the same pictures. I guess you have two staff reports.
So Cindy, I guess I do have a question, if it's still open for staff questions. The pond that you had mentioned,
Uh-huh.
was that considered in the original CUP? Considered in that original CUP?
I don't know that we were aware of that pond in the original CUP. They do have an approved site grading stormwater management plan from that original, and I'm not sure if that's where they're directing their water. The retention area. So there's a condition of approval that requires them to make sure that the site grading stormwater management plan is current. Because now we have more information. And I would recommend that that be a condition of approval if you choose to approve this, is that they have another site grading stormwater management plan approved. And then their engineer and our engineer will work together to make sure that they're not flooding out that driveway. And the applicant might have more information on that. Because in the spring I've driven back there and it's, water's really high.
All right, thank you. No more questions.
So at this time, we will have the presentation by the applicant. Please step forward to the mic and state your name and address, please.
My name's Alan Bates.
My name is Jonathan Frost, 246 Leeway, Donley, Idaho. Address.
I'm at 3158 Timberwoods Drive in New Meadows, Idaho.
thank you, and your presentation whenever you're ready.
And well, there's not much of a presentation. I just would kind of talk about some of the things that we need to get done here. We know that the irrigation on that berm that was established was kind of insufficient. We lost some of those trees in the fall. That will be corrected in the spring as soon as weather permits. And also we'll add,
I'll just point to it. So this is the berm he's talking about, right there. So it's been extended to, it was just originally here.
Jonathan, we can't pick you up.
Maybe
Not at the microphone.
repeat that.
there you
I need
go.
a laser point. You don't have a laser point. So that berm that Cinda's pointing to right now has been extended to the east and the west. North is on the other side of Coho Road. And there's landscaping on the middle part of the berm. However, there aren't trees on the, let's see, this would be east to the right and then to the west. And the plan is to finish those trees, weather permitting, this spring.
Right.
And currently, to address the concern about stormwater runoff, where it's going at present, Cinda, to address what you had said, if you go back to that other map, right there, the plan view. So to the left or to
On the
the
west side.
west, there are retention ponds where everything currently is the stormwater runs from the paved area down into those ponds. They're not visible here, but there's depressions. When you're there, they're what, 10 feet deep or
Yeah,
so?
they're very, very, very easy to see once you're there. Those retention ponds are in place.
So the current building that you see running up and down on the right side, on the bottom right of that screen, is as far as the new buildings would run. If that makes sense. They would go down, cross over, and then back where you see the blacktop. So it would fill in that square. So where I believe Cinda was pointing out where the pond is in that lightly colored area in the bottom, it would just be bordering that, and the water would be running to
To the west.
to the west, exactly where it currently.
Retention ponds on the west side of those facilities as well.
Is that an irrigation ditch that we're seeing?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just Valley County historically, the water flows from the northeast to the southwest towards the lake. So the lake is south and west of this. So everything's flowing at a diagonal anyway across there. So anything to the west is going to naturally flow the natural direction. Yep. There you go. So the Donley ditch, if you want to call it that, that prevents flooding is south of that area. Yeah, Cinda's marker roughly is on it. Yep, right there.
So you don't have a plot of what you're planning to put in. You're changing storage units for RV units, correct?
Well, not changing these, not the existing, it would be
Not the
additional.
existing,
Correct.
it's
No,
it's
no,
for the
we-
addition that didn't, the portion that wasn't completed.
Correct. And then on the phase two, we would like to change out some of those from some solid structures to covered parking. What we found is there's a very strong demand for covered parking. So we want to increase that and reduce the individual storage units.
The
The same
first-
number, footprints would stay the same number of buildings, and the footprints would be the same.
Are they open on all four sides?
Yes, the covered parking is, yes.
At present, one of the buildings, the second one down that you see there that's colored yellow to the right of that, Cinda, right there, that building is currently fully at occupancy and very popular, but that's exactly what it is. It's just essentially a roof and lots of demand for that.
And that's the only one that's covered parking in phase one. The rest of them are all
Enclosed.
structures, enclosed structures.
You might have to help me a little. I'm looking at the alleyways there on some of those. They look quite narrow for RV parking on some of the,
I think they're close to 60 feet
East
in
side.
between those. So your typical RV would be maybe up to 40 feet would be the extent. So those buildings, the one on the top right there is 40 feet deep. And so you see it's just a little bit wider than that. It's close to 60 feet in between the buildings. So we haven't had a problem pulling people in with a truck and a trailer attached and going in. Haven't had any issues with that.
And obviously, the diagram here on the lower left would not be where we would put covered parking because of that reason. There just wouldn't be room to get in and out of those bottom two. That one and the one below it.
Yeah, so you see that one is 50 feet wide, that next one is 50 feet wide. We have a 40-foot long RV that we've got parked in building G right there. I parked it in there and had no problem getting it in there.
So could you, the bottom two you're not going to do?
No, there just wouldn't be room to get those in and out.
So you're gonna put in,
Those would be enclosed structures.
okay. And are the heights and colors and all of that compatible?
It'd be the same. Yeah, the design would match the existing structures.
And where is the office on this site plan?
The office is located off-site
Okay,
at 336 North Main Street
okay.
in Donley.
That's frost management.
Okay.
Can we look at the landscaping one again? So these are currently being rented, right?
Correct.
And if I was looking at so I'm looking at the landscaping here across the front.
Right.
I'm also seeing landscaping down each side.
Yep.
Has that been completed?
Yeah, so to the right there, which is now the top, along Coho, between the roads that you see, yep, right where Cinda's dragging her mouse back and forth,
Mm-hmm.
kind of show that. That area has been completed with an approximate, it exceeds what the height requirements are for the berm. That was finished right before it froze last year, which didn't give us enough time to finish the trees, planting those. So then it's also been extended as per requirements on either side, to the left and to the right, or the east and the west of that road. And there are trees, you can see them in this picture, more mature trees that run north and south on the left and right, or east and west of the project.
So I'm more thinking about the view from Highway 55 that we have of it.
Mhm.
I'm seeing the landscape plan, if I understand that right, trees down the east and west side. Are there trees that have been planted in those areas? And
The ones on the west, both of those are native trees. So no additional trees have been planted. I think the area where the neighbors were most concerned, or planning and zoning primarily was concerned that we plant more vegetation, was on the north side, running east and west. And that's I may be mistaken on that, but I believe that was the concern.
Well,
landscape plan.
I was there. A lot of it was the visual impact from the Payette River National Scenic Byway. And they had this line here. And what the Valley County Code requires is one tree for every 25 feet, not planted in a straight row. But they can group them to create an attractive screening next to the buildings.
More natural looking.
Yeah.
And has that been done? I guess I'm not seeing that in the pictures or when I drive by. I don't know if that's actually.
So I don't know that the intent was to make it completely invisible, but to make it look more natural. And so the existing trees that are there now are all native trees that have just sprung up on the east side. So that while you can see through them, you can see some that will continue to erode. That view will continue to deteriorate or become invisible. But there's only a little bit that's visible right about to the left of right there. That's where we hung the banner that we've since removed, because that was the only part that was visible from Highway 55 for more than about a 15-foot section. But I think the trees that are in that field more than make up for what the requirements are.
May I ask you a question?
Mhm.
So, will you always retain this field?
I guess that remains to be seen. I think there's a couple of lots there that are potentially could be sold in the future.
Well,
They're like 2.5 acre lots, I think.
right, we approved a CUP subdivision plat for that area. So those trees are not going to be in the ownership of the storage unit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if they put something in there, then they can remove those trees. But that plat has not been finalized. So that's why it still shows it's still under one ownership.
Yeah, the
So
entire
on the-
24 acres.
On the east side is where subdivision was approved?
Well, here and over here also.
Okay.
on that surrounding property.
Both sides.
So the intent isn't to maintain ownership of that, if we were working on subdivision plots for it.
The entire property is currently for sale.
Okay.
Which would include the lots, the one lot on the north, just north of this, of the structures, 2 lots on the east, and then there are 6 lots on the west side.
But they haven't been finalized.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. I have a question. I see on staff comments, number 2, there's a note of an office location. Is there going to be an office on site, or am I missing something?
On the original application, they had an office planned.
Okay,
This location up here. And they also had a single-family residence. But they amended the plan. So
Okay.
my question is, are they going to establish an office here?
I guess we don't know that for sure. That one of the options in the lot, right where the cursor is, was to put in a structure there that would be a living quarters and an office. But we have an office which is very close by, so we may not opt to put an office right on the location. It's
okay,
really not necessary anymore. There's so much that can be done remotely that it's not really necessary to have an office on site.
okay. So that's not something that's on the table for approval under this application?
I don't believe it's
Okay.
necessary. A lot of the storage units are doing the kiosks.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, they've really gone away from that because everything can be done electronically anyway.
So I want to go back to the landscaping a bit more because this is, the storage units that we have along the corridor are a hot button for the whole community. So we want to make sure we're doing our due diligence as a commission and making sure we understand what's being done to protect the scenic byway. And the landscaping was completed last summer.
Last
Or
fall.
last fall.
Only on the section between the entrances there.
Mhm.
Room was extended on to the east and the west subsequent to that, so it doesn't have trees on it yet.
Okay.
So we were really precluded from doing so by weather, because it wasn't done until the fall.
So that the landscaping was supposed to be done by October of '21, right? Or 3 years later now, if I'm reading the permit correctly.
That's quite possible. I wasn't even a partner at that time, so I can't really speak to how many years back that was originally scheduled to be done or why it wasn't done.
And do you believe that you'll do additional landscaping on that east side, or what you have there, do you believe is sufficient and meets the permit requirements?
Well, as Jonathan mentioned, there's only a small section there where any of that is actually visible from the road. Visible enough to put a banner on the side of the building that would be seen. So it's on the south end of that.
Don't show it there.
Yeah, I mean, we've driven past there enough as we travel, but
So there's probably sufficient a number of trees there to meet the code, but if they're positioned properly, then we can take a look at whatever else we might need to do there.
that would meet the code if you are including that entire field, right?
Yeah.
I don't know about the entire field necessarily.
Well,
Then it was,
well, the
Some portion of that field,
Correct.
which is no longer,
Yeah, because the front corner there is that light brown lot there adjacent to Highway 55 in Coho is not part of the property.
So you might put a condition on
you
here
know, I,
that if this is platted and sold, they have to establish additional landscaping along this eastern boundary.
and I guess I have two concerns. One, this is now a 3-year-old past due date on the landscaping, and we're wanting to build something new. And it's a change, we don't have the plans
There's
really for that, but I'm wondering what our options are here if should we table this until I'm concerned it's now up for sale. We're gonna change ownership potentially. We have no landscaping that was installed for the original permit. And now we're asking for a change before it's completed. So that's what's going through my mind. Is our best option here to delay approval on this until we have that landscaping in place for the original, since the date was 3 years ago, or do we?
So this actually expired in February, but because of medical reasons, you tabled it to tonight. Um, So it will expire now. You can work it out, perhaps if you think you want to, that building permits won't be issued until the landscaping is established.
Okay.
In accordance with the Valley County Code, where one tree every 25 feet along that eastern boundary, northern boundary.
And maybe it would meet that. I just don't have a way to tell. And it seems that if we can put a banner up there that people can see, we're not probably meeting the intent of what we were trying to do by putting up landscaping. Okay, thank you, Cinda. That helps me understand. If I'm fairly new at understanding what our options are for helping things move forward, but at the same time maintaining what we need as a commission.
Any other questions?
There were some other questions, I think, or one was on the structure for snow load, which I'd like to address at least. There was a collapse of one of the buildings a year ago, maybe it was two, I can't recall.
During construction.
During construction, the interior walls were not yet in the building. So that's the reason that the roof caved in because of snow. The entire structures meet code for snow load, and there shouldn't be any concern with collapsing from this point forward. Were there other questions or concerns that hadn't been addressed?
I don't think I have any more questions.
Perhaps I could add one thing, commissioners, from Highway 55, the visual aspect of the whole project wouldn't look any different by approving this or by making it go forward. The existing wall that's there now wouldn't be extended and that wouldn't be changed. So it would just be stuff that would be behind that. So nothing visual from either Coho Road where the subdivision is or from Highway 55 would appear any different.
Does that make sense? The
Yes.
existing building would block the construction of the new buildings behind it, so they wouldn't be visible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners.
Now we're going to go ahead and open it up to public testimony. Reminder, please state your name and mailing address for the record. Everyone will have 3 minutes, and I'd like to take testimony of any proponents. Anyone uncommitted? And opponents to the project? Okay. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for deliberations. Commissioners.
Cinda, with that subdivision that was approved, was it tied to the original?
No.
Okay. So if we wanted to require that landscaping be placed around the storage units if the subdivision is platted, how would that be followed through on?
So landscaping must be established according to the Valley County Code with a total of 1 tree per every 25 feet prior to approval of the final plat. On the eastern side, and prior to issuance of building permits on the northern side.
That's great.
And I had some other ones. You want to hear those?
Yes.
Stormwater pollution prevention plan shall be reassessed by the Valley County engineer to make sure it is adequate. Stormwater shall not run over the driveway to the south. K and L will be enclosed, and then H, I, and J will not be enclosed. Sorry, everything closed on my computer.
Maybe it'd be an update on the BSU game.
Yeah, I know, I was watching that.
Didn't hear that one. Yeah. I left with 3 minutes in the game. They were ahead by 8, BSU.
So, and you'll want to put a time on it. Like, you're asking for a 2-year extension in your motion.
Mhm.
If you choose to do it.
And also, I would like the landscaping to be repaired across the front and installed down the sides to meet code prior to a building permit.
Okay, so you want landscaping along the northern and eastern side prior to issuance of a building permit in accordance with Valley County Code.
Correct.
And just, so you know, so it's 1 tree for every 25 feet clustered. Now, can we include the trees in the field? Or do you want those within a certain distance of the buildings on the eastern side?
I think they need to be within a certain distance because if this is gonna go forward with a plot, we're gonna be ripping up the field. Correct.
Within the setbacks for the structures?
Perfect.
You got that, Lori?
Easterly and westerly or just easterly?
Oh,
Okay, is there any more questions, comments, concerns? Okay. I will move to a motion.
So I would make a motion that we approve CUP 2036 with the amendments or the 2 denims for the stormwater as read and for the additional landscaping as reviewed. I need to be more specific in that.
yeah,
Timeline.
extended for 2 years.
2 years.
In the building.
And building permits won't be issued until they're,
Until the landscaping has been installed and approved.
okay, so a cleaner motion, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm not,
all here tonight. There would be approval of the extension for 2 years in accordance with the applications and the listed conditions of approval.
okay. So I'll make a motion that we approve CUP 2036, extension for 2 years with the addendums for approval.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, CUP 20-36, Highway 55 storage amendment and extension request has been approved with stated conditions. For the 2-year extension, there is a 10-day appeal period in which anyone can appeal the decision of the commission to the Board of County Commissioners in accordance with Title 9-5H-12 of the Valley County Code. Next on the agenda this evening, we have the motion for the reconsideration ordinance. Cinda, is this going to be a vote?
This will be a recommendation
A
to the Board of
recommendation
County
to the board.
Commissioners.
Okay, that's what I, thank you.
It's,
Okay,
you ready?
Mhm.
Go ahead.
so we'll open the public hearing at this time for the ordinance. Valley County 9-5H-13, the reconsideration.
Okay,
Staff report, please.
this is a pretty simple ordinance. Idaho state statute requires a motion for reconsideration be allowed for any decision made by the Board of County Commissioners. It doesn't give you a lot of details in the statute. And since we're starting to get more and more of these, we thought that we ought to adopt a policy or ordinance in order to define what people need to submit and how it will be processed. And then that ordinance will set us up to provide for a fee. So the ordinance is pretty simple. Do you have any questions on it?
Didn't have any questions.
I didn't.
Mr. Moon?
No questions.
Questions?
Want me to summarize it at all?
If you'd like to do a little summary, just in case anyone's here to speak.
Yeah, 95H13A states that the applicant or affected person seeking the judicial review of the board's final decision must first submit to the P&Z director an application for reconsideration, and that has to be received within 14 days of the final decision of the Board of County Commissioners, which typically is when they sign their facts and conclusions. And then they have 14 days to file this motion for reconsideration. Then we schedule the motion for reconsideration with the board, and the person submitting the motion for reconsideration has the ability to discuss with the board the points that they think weren't covered in a public hearing. And if the board thinks that those are substantive matters that need to be heard in a public hearing, then the board will decide to allow another public hearing for a motion for reconsideration, hopefully just on those items, but typically it expands into something more. And then if they don't think that they're substantive, then what they do is they will either just deny it, the motion for reconsideration, or they will let it expire because they only have 60 days in which to act. This provides the notice because it's just a Board of County Commissioner public hearing, and it's not our typical public hearing. It has lessened time frames. We do let neighbors know and agencies and everybody. And then the board can affirm, reverse, or modify their prior decision that was documented in their facts and conclusions.
Thank you, Cindy. Now we'll go ahead and open it up for public testimony. Is there anyone here to speak as a proponent? How about anyone uncommitted? And anyone opposed? Okay, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for deliberations. The commissioners?
I have no questions.
No questions. Seems like a good addition.
Okay, I will make a recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners to approve ordinance 9-5H-13 reconsideration.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, this will automatically go to the Board of County Commissioners for review and deliberation approval, correct? All right, now we're gonna go ahead and move on to CUP 25-001, Chad short-term rental and RV site rental at this time. I will open up our public hearing. Has there been any ex parte communication, or does anyone have a conflict of interest?
No.
All right, hearing none. Cinda, your staff report, please.
Is Mr. Chad here? You have some additional information up here also. Yeah, you can go ahead and grab it. While I do the staff report. So the staff report for CUP 25-01, Chad's short-term rental and RV site rental. The applicant is Kelly Chad. The property is addressed at 234 Spink Lane It's 2 acres. There's currently 1 home on it and 1 RV site. Mr. Chad's requesting the CUP for the short-term rental of the 3-bedroom home, and then he wants to also short-term rent an RV space. It will go to 2 separate parties. So,
Sorry, I'm getting a weird error on the recording. Can you make sure that records
I have it turned on. Can you check on your phone to see if we're,
Yeah, I was. I'm saying it's insufficient disk space. It's in recording, so I don't want to.
hopefully we can, hopefully this works. Both the home and the RV site are connected to a well, septic system, and electrical power. Construction of the home was completed in 2024. And then we noticed that the RV site was advertised on HipCamp. He did apply for a short-term rental permit though. He has proposed quiet hours from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. No outdoor speakers are allowed. They state that there's no additional grading for either one of these uses. The application was submitted on January 27th. Legal notice was completed by posting it in the Star News on the Valley County website. We posted a sign on site. We sent notices to neighbors and agencies in a timely manner. Agency comments received. Mike Reno, Central District Health, stated the septic permit was for a 3-bedroom home only. Septic system was not sized for the RV, nor was it permitted for an RV hookup. The home can be used as a short-term rental for a maximum of 6 people. The RV hookup must be disconnected or a septic system installed to accommodate the wastewater flows. Jess Ellis, Donley Fire, listed requirements regarding the access, driveways, addressing, fire rings, burning, and then ordinance 19-09, the LPG systems. DEQ submitted their typical boilerplate letter. We received no public comments. Sites partially treed, primarily north and east of the home, and the property slopes upward to the east. The surrounding land uses are agricultural to the north, single-family residential and ag to the south, ag with a home site to the east, and then to the west is just agricultural, non-irrigated cropland. This property is categorized, this use is categorized in Table 9-3-1 as 2 residential uses, A, single-family residence for the existing home, and then 5 commercial uses, E, recreation business, 4 campgrounds and facilities, including campgrounds. Listed the different portions of the Valley County Code that are applicable to this proposed use. Staff's compatibility rating was a positive 19. I do have some questions. What's the maximum number of people that will be on site at the home? What's the maximum number of people that will be on site at the RV rental site? Approved septic is for a 3-bedroom home. 2 people per bedroom are allowed on an individual septic system. This would equate to a total of 6 people combined for the home and RV. Is there any exterior lighting at the RV site? All outdoor lighting must meet Valley County Code. It appears that some of the outdoor lighting on the house is not compliant. Do you have legal access to use the northernmost driveway that leads directly to the RV site? Is there a contracted trash service for the home and for the RV site? The equipment will be available at the fire pits for fire suppression. Minimum setbacks for recreational businesses are 50 feet from the rear, front, and side street, and then 30 feet from the side property lines. And I need to know what the setback is for the RV parking site to the north property line. The site is within the Donley Fire District and Water District 65D. It's not within a HERD district nor an irrigation district. The applicant states there are no water rights connected to the property. Density allowed by Valley County Code is 2.5 dwelling units per acre. Typically, 3 RVs equal 1 residence, so this would equate to 1.33 units on 2 acres, which is less than the 5 units allowed. I listed questions for the P&Z Commission and standards of approval. Proposed conditions of approval are the typical ones, and then we can start with number 5. The development agreement is required for mitigation of off-site impacts. The applicant shall work with the Valley County Road Department, Planning and Zoning Director on an agreement for off-site infrastructure improvements that will be approved by the Board of County Commissioners. Must have approval from Central District Health to connect the RV site to the septic system or put in a new septic system that is approved by Central District Health. Must comply with the requirements of Donley Fire District. Smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors shall be installed throughout the home. There should be fire extinguishers on each level of the home and one near any outside LPG grills. LP gas detectors shall be installed where appropriate. All fire rings should be no larger than 3 feet in diameter. Shall have shovel, bucket, and fire extinguisher available near the fire pit. All exterior lighting on this site must comply with the Valley County Lighting Ordinance. All lights shall be fully shielded so that there's not upward or horizontal projection of lights. No parking allowed in the setback areas or within the road right-of-way. Snow must be stored on-site and not moved into the road right-of-way. Quiet hours are 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. All noxious weeds on the property must be controlled. The site must be kept in a neat and orderly manner. Shall maintain addressing numbers on the home, at the driveway entrance, and at the RV site. Property lines should be marked and visible to guests. No events are allowed. This includes weddings that would create noise impacts and increase traffic. Must comply with payment of sales tax in accordance with Idaho State Code, Title 63, Chapter 36. Shall post rules, emergency contact information, and emergency exit plan in the home. Must clearly post the maximum number of guests allowed. Maximum number of short-term rental guests at the home per night is 6. The maximum number of rental guests at the RV site is 4. Not have more than one recreational vehicle on site. And then a short-term rental annual update form is required. This will be submitted annually based on the effective date of the conditional use permit. Now, number 22 and 23, I highlighted just to make sure that whatever your decision, if you choose to approve it, that there are numbers in those slots. Since the staff report was completed, we received additional correspondence. One is a letter from Kelly Chad. He said that there will be 10 people, 6 in the house, 4 in the RV, no exterior lighting for the RV, and they do have legal access. Their exhibit 2 is a letter from Jacqueline and Christopher Narvave, Yvonne and Bruce Baxter, Amanda Benila, the Davis Ranch. And they are formally objecting to this proposal for the short-term rental. An RV pad. They're concerned whether the proposed short-term rental and RV pad comply with the existing zoning regulations in a rural area. They're concerned with increased traffic. They're concerned with animal stress and disruption, damage to the ranch infrastructure, environmental and infrastructure impacts, and then the wastewater and sewage, fire hazards, noise and disruption, accountability, and decrease in property values. And you all have a copy of that letter, so I don't need to read that letter into the record.
Mhm.
And then we received a response from the applicant, and that is Exhibit 3, and I will let him present that to you. Okay, so if you look up on our screen, this is the aerial. Here's the home. RV is over here. This is off of Farm to Market. Here's Farm to Market. Go down Spink. This is where you turn to go up to the landfill. And this site is right here in the corner. Okay?
And where's the Davis Ranch?
Right, it's around.
Joshua Davis, there's Davis Family Trust.
Okay,
Davis Family
completely
Trust.
surrounding. Got it. Thank you.
Okay, this was, I guess, sold off. There are a number of other places up through here that have been sold off too. There's the Baxters, Davis Family Trust, Chamberlain's. And then this is the site plan that was proposed. This is the existing driveway into the house. And then they're proposing this driveway into the RV parking. I will bring to your attention that This road here is not a road, a named road. It's a shared easement driveway. It's not a road. That's why everything is addressed off Spink Lane.
So the shared easement for that property as well, is it described in the easement?
They do have this direct frontage right here in the corner. This would be
Where
a
the
shared easement.
proposed- I'm just, and maybe it's just where the boundary line shows, it looks almost as if there's a gap between the property line and the easement road.
Yeah, these lines aren't accurate, these purple ones. Not at all. This line here could be over here as far as we know.
Okay.
This is just to give you an idea. And that ends my staff report.
Okay, commissioners, any questions for staff?
I have a question about the shared driveway. It looks like it's leading to more than allowed number of homes, which is 3, correct?
Now it's 3. Back when these parcels were split out, we didn't have that rule.
I see. Okay.
I'm pretty sure I would have verified that all of these were legal before we issued anything. We didn't have the shared driveway statute until 1991. And what caused that was Morris Ranch, because people were splitting into those 20-acre pieces and then creating these shared driveways without any agreement about who was going to keep them up. So that's how Morris Ranch is. And then Kennedy and out off Crow Creek. We were starting to see a pattern, and we adopted the ordinance that you couldn't share driveways without the variance.
So this will lead to, this would be the 3rd? No, this would be the 4th. Correct.
Oh, there's 1, 2,
5th?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
And I don't know who else has access up through here.
Okay.
What I do when I approve a building permit is to make sure that the easement predated that October 1991 date.
Okay, any more questions for staff? All right, at this time, I'll take the presentation by the applicant. Please come to the mic and state your name and address for the record, please.
Kelly Chad, 234 Speak Lane, McCall, Idaho.
Anna Chad, same address.
Your
This is our
presentation.
first time doing this, so any guidance and help would be much appreciated.
Okay.
Where would you like to start?
I think I'd like you to to start probably with the staff comments and questions, and maybe also just a summary of your project and
We'll do the summary first. We bought the property approximately 10 years ago. We finally got to a point where we could build a house on it. So we built a cabin, and the RV parking, for the most part, was for my dad and my uncle, who all own RVs. I mean, that's still the plan, is to still go up there and use it and park there and have family gatherings and still do that. It was never intended to be just a full-time rental. So we still plan on using the property as much as we possibly can. That's where we're at today. We just finished the project, which is why we're in front of you today to try to get this approved.
And this
Would you
is, yeah, this is something that 10 years ago we started, and we built this cabin with our own hands. We did everything except for 3 things, which was cement, insulation, and the countertops. But everything else was our blood, sweat, and tears, our family, our friends. So like, this is like something that we are taking a lot of pride in. It's just the expensive materials has increased over time, and so we need to sort of supplement the cost of the home with using it as a short-term rental. So that's why we're here today.
As far as the staff report, let me find those questions.
We did submit submit an Exhibit 3 where it kind of lays out each one of the questions and our responses to each one of those, just to kind of guide everyone through that. So it will be, the maximum number will be 6 in the home. That's posted everywhere. And then the maximum number at the RV site is 4.
Yep, so the septic we've capped, we've changed the listing on HipCamp to take away so now it's just power and water. There is no lighting on the RV. I will get with CDH and ask them what is required to make sure that that's DC'd from there, so we can do it in accordance with them. I think that's who I would go through, since they approved it. The lighting ordinance, I've been working with Hannah Smith, I believe her name is, and I submitted, I think there was a couple extra pictures on there. Those final 2 lights that were on the deck that were out of ordinance are now in compliance. There should be a couple photos in there.
It's marked B.
And I received an email response from her saying that we're good, so I presume that we were good there. The trash service, number 6. The legal access, this was a presumption on my part. When we bought the property 10 years ago, I contacted the assessor's office multiple times because I know access to properties can be very touchy. And so they probably got tired of me calling them. But since the road ran through the property, I presume that we had legal access to it. So as far as the far driveway, if that's not compliant, then we'll take that out and we'll reroute the driveway down the lower end of what would be the west side of the property and then just make a full circle, if that's okay.
We did have
We-
pins dropped, and it does, based on where the pins are located, it does look like the pin is sort of where that where it parts off is like almost in like kind of center of that road. Obviously with the weather and the mud, we can't really go out and find them right now. But I contacted the assessor's office and she provided us every documentation, all the documentation she had on file for the easements. And then Cinda, I had a question. You said 1991. These 2 easements are from 1993 and 1995. So does that have any impact or change on the access to that?
It would for the shared here, but you appear to have frontage is where you said this.
There, I think we're good, yes. And it's just that extension to the second driveway. I don't know if these easements being issued after 1991 somehow change the access and the number of homes. I wasn't catching everything that was happening with the 1991 requirement of more than, I think, Councilwoman Schneider, sorry, I didn't wear my glasses, brought it up, saying that, there's seven homes, it looks like up there, and it exceeds the.
Do you know if there's a maintenance agreement? Has that been, so nothing with neighbors has been brought up about maintenance of that shared road?
So, we put in what you guys were calling the proposed driveway, that was put in 2 years ago, and we haven't had an issue with any of the neighbors. Nobody's ever approached us. We thought it was okay until we went through this process, and now there's opposition against it.
And I don't see in either of the easements that there's any term or provision about maintenance of that.
Okay, thank you.
So obviously, we would like to keep it. If that's not compliant, then we'll adjust it however is, whatever is necessary. To continue on, number 7, the trash service. We just hired the local trash company. I forget the name. So we do now have contracted trash service. Just one bin for now. We're obviously gauging how much we're going to use it and how much we're going to fill it up. We'll get more cans if we need to, but that would be for the whole property. Would put the trash in there as they leave, us included. And then obviously it would get picked up weekly.
We do encourage our RV renters to pack in, pack out, take what you have. There's lots of sites around, please use those. But obviously, if it's an absolute must, they can.
Number 5, the proposed conditions of approval. To be honest, I'm not exactly sure what that's asking. obviously, if we'll do whatever it takes to be compliant with it, but since it was a single-family home, I wasn't sure if there was infrastructure that we needed to put in or what. Anybody clarify that a little bit for me?
I can.
Yeah.
You'll work with the Valley County engineer, Dan Coons.
Okay.
And he will determine whether or not he's going to recommend certain contributions to off-site infrastructure based upon what your impact will be.
That's
This
Dan at the
conditional use
road
permit.
place.
Yes.
Okay.
So if we needed to improve the road
Then he'll
or,
tell me and I'll write the development agreement. If he doesn't require anything, then then we'll just clarify it with the board.
And he did receive notice of today, like, he could have submitted something prior, correct? Prior to
You need to
today?
contact Dan.
Okay, perfect,
He's a busy guy.
yes.
number 6, we already discussed, we've made those changes. We can get with CDH to make sure that it's completely compliant. That will no longer be advertised as sewer accessible for the RVs. The requirements for the Donley Fire District, based on approval, because we have our certificate of occupancy, so I'm assuming they've been out there, they've checked the propane tank, they've checked the driveways, everything was good. We have the address clearly marked. The fire pit is compliant, and the hip camp has a burn ban toggle switch, pretty much, that you can, if there's a burn ban, you can just hit that and it'll notify the residents that there's a burn ban so they can no longer burn. We're back and forth emailing too, so. We've got smoke detectors, carbon monoxide throughout the home. The fire extinguishers on every level, +1 outside on the deck next to the barbecue, which is a propane gas barbecue. The grill I have sitting at home in the garage, we're bringing that up this weekend, so that'll be on the deck. Fire rings we've talked about. The exterior lighting we've talked about. We won't be parking in the setback areas. We've hired Boulder Creek Ranch for snow removal services, and they blow it right back onto the middle of the property. They don't blow it off property. The quiet hours we've talked about, 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. The noxious weeds, we plan on renting a mower 1 to 2 times a year. Josh, who is just south of us, I think he does it once a year, just mows it completely down his whole yard. So we plan on doing the same thing once or twice a year. If I recall correctly, I think he only does it once a year, but if it needs done a couple of times, we'll do that to mitigate any fire hazards. The current landscaping is all natural vegetation except for the driveway. Neat and orderly manner. Again, this isn't just an investment rental property for us. We're going to be using this as a family just as much, and so we want to keep it neat and orderly as well. The address is on the homes. And it's the same address for the RV site. Do we need to post an address there as well?
If this is approved, we'll do a separate address.
Oh, okay.
Separate sign. Separate address. I see, okay. The property lines, that I wanted to clarify, we have the private property signs. We brought them up with us today. We got caught up late at work. We didn't have enough time to go around and post them, so those are not posted, but we have 6 of them that we were gonna post. There's a half of a barbed wire fence between us and Josh, who's to the south. But we plan on posting along trees or with T-posts on the east side, which she just highlighted, along the north side of the property, and then
There are already signs along the other side, on the
On the road.
roadside.
Yeah.
We know, Josh had come over, the neighbor to the south of us had come over and had a conversation with us and said, hey, these are our concerns. And we said, Absolutely. We are happy to put up signs, and we noted that that was something that was mentioned in the letter of opposition as well. So we immediately ordered signs. We're happy to put them up and make sure that anyone who's visiting the property is respecting those boundaries.
Number 19, as far as the events, we clearly stated in the ad for the hip camp, like this is a quiet side of the valley, and please respect neighbors with the noise ordinance. Be respectful. You'll be warned one time, and then if after that you'll be asked to leave. Is specifically stated in our ad, and that will also be stated with the short-term rental of the house as well. Sales tax. We agree. We have emergency exit plans posted, framed. We're going to hang those up around the house. And as well as the rules, 6 for the house, 4 for the RV, and more than one recreational on site. I do have a question about that I just want to clarify. Yes, when it's rented out, there'll be 1, but obviously we're going to have family gatherings there as well. So when we're using it for our own property, our own personal use, does that conflict with that, or how does that work?
So example, our oldest is graduating this year and he wants to do like a camp
The
trip,
graduation party?
a camping trip at the cabin. Obviously, we can't put everyone in there, and so we're hoping to have some of them bring up their campers so that we can sleep a few more people.
Typically, people can have, their family weekends or weeks.
So for private use,
Yes.
we're good for that. Okay. Where are we at? Number 25.
We'll submit the form every year on the dot.
And
These are just exhibits that clearly state what the ground rules are. I think when we, with the staff report, it was just a quick print from the screen, but a lot of those have drop-down menus. So when you drop down those menus, it gives you like the full rules, full noise complaint, like all of that stuff. So that was just ground rules. And then a copy of the HIP camp ad that shows that we've updated to remove the sewer hookup information. And added some additional, like, if you have your pets, make sure you're staying on our property, not going on other people's property. Pictures of the lighting that's been fixed, all of the easement documentation we got from the county assessor's office. And then I think that's it. Oh, and the fire exit plans are the last page of that. Exhibit 3.
Thank you. Any questions for the applicant?
As far as setbacks, is that something that we need to, that has been addressed? Because I'm seeing, there's mention of it. Is that something that, the setback from the RV pad?
Yeah, it looks, according to this scale drawing here, that it's at least 80 feet
Okay,
from the rear property. to the
okay,
RV
because I think the requirement's 50.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it looks like probably 65 to 70 on the north.
Thank you.
And the parking at the house as well as to the south side of the house. It's right there, yeah. So right in there. So we should be clear on the west side.
If you have issues, what's your response time? And if you get a complaint of a neighbor, so we have several of these in our own subdivision, and the owners of the homes are in Boise or Utah or California, and we call and say we have a complaint. They're riding their UTVs up and down a private road at a high speed.
We'll be there in 2 hours.
Yeah, and they're in California, so it's not gonna happen, in this case specifically, but, so our option is to call the sheriff as a neighbor, and that's a very, it's not how you wanna spend your day anyway, is call your neighbors on somebody up trying to have a nice weekend with their families. How do you respond to these things, and what's your response time?
so we've hired Done Right Property Management to take care of that. So because we do live in the valley, we live in Eagle, at our primary residence, so we don't have the response time to be able to handle those conflicts. So we've hired Done Right Property Management to manage the property for us and take care of those.
And you've got some reviews in here, so you've been operating the business for a period of time anyway, the Hip Camp
Last
side of it.
summer we did, yes.
And have you had any complaints from the neighbors?
We did get one, but it was actually from my own son, not from the RVers. He was riding his dirt bike up the private road to the north, and she just came by and said, "Hey, this is a private road. No more riding here." I told my son. He stayed off it since. So we haven't had any issues with the RVers that I know of, that nobody's approached us with.
I feel like we're pretty approachable, so, like, to have a conversation with them and like, how can we fix this? How can we all get, like, we understand I think they said we're on an island. We understand that we are surrounded by them. And so, we're not looking to create problems or chaos, but if there is an issue, we would invite them to just come and chat with us.
And are you allowing animals? Can people bring dogs? I think that was brought up in the letter about pets and livestock.
No livestock.
Yeah, no livestock.
Right,
Yeah.
but with the livestock surrounding this
Oh,
property.
sure. Yes, we're dog owners ourselves. That's one thing that we agreed on when we even started down this road was it'll be dog friendly because we have trouble going and staying in places with our own dogs, and so we want to make that inviting for other dog owners as well. So,
And
But it's
we've not had any
required.
issues with the livestock there. And we've let Josh, the neighbor to the south, know like, hey, if our dogs are a problem, please let us know. We'll fix it right away.
What about your guests? Is there a rule that they have to keep their?
and the rules on a leash, yes,
Okay.
when they're outside.
We have doggy duty stations and everything already ready to go. Like, so we really are taking like as many precautions as possible, and hopefully at some point in the future we'll be able to do one of those invisible fences so that and the collar will just be available, so you can just hook it on your dog, and if they get off leash or whatever, they're not going to go very far.
Is the sewer extension that you made out there, you said it was capped, is it still visible?
Yes.
Is there a temptation for people or?
Well, that's why I want to get with
hook up
CD.
to that at some point?
Well, I'll dig it down, cut it, cap it, if that's what CDH requires, but I want to get with them first. I haven't had a chance to get with them to see what their requirements are for that, to DC it. If I can just dig it down 3-4 feet down the line, cap it, and be done with it, or if they want me to run it all the way back to where it ties into the main line. So,
With the weather the way that it is right now, we're not going to have anyone out there. It's soft, it's muddy, we're not going to have anybody out there until the road can tolerate it.
Any other questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now we're gonna open it up to public testimony. I'd like to take testimony from the proponents. Please state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes.
Amanda Bonilla, 226 Spink Lane. I am part of the Davis Family Trust. I just want to go ahead and state that you guys are great neighbors. I don't know you personally, but I have no problem with them. The people that have used the RV pad in the past were also equally respectful. I do have an issue with the RV pad plus house combination because I think that opens the door to larger groups of people. I also know from personal experience with people that I know and things that I've experienced that Airbnbers rarely follow the rules. You tell them they're allowed 6, they bring 12. You tell them they're allowed 12, they bring 20. I'm concerned with, large groups of people coming with tents, with, multiple dogs, with, and with them not living here, it's hard for them to keep an eye on things, which means that the neighbors become the police, we have to watch out for what they're doing. We have to make phone calls. And I do understand that they've contracted Done Right Management, but I've also been involved in circumstances where Done Right couldn't be reached when there was an issue with a renter, and there was no response from Done Right when there was an issue with a renter. And so they're not always reliable as a source. And then it comes down to, as the commissioner mentioned, calling the sheriff's department when you have no other option. And then we're pulling resources from the sheriff's department to come deal with trivial things like noise complaints and vehicles driving up and down your road. I didn't actually know about the application until they sent out the notice to the neighbors. I've never had a personal dialogue with them. I know they've spoken to my cousin Josh, but I'm uncomfortable with the fact that there's no way to police if people are actually going to follow the rules, if their dogs are actually going to be on a leash. If, I don't want to run into a situation where one of my animals is killed by a dog that's ran away from that location. You can't really tell from looking at the parcel, but the houses are actually relatively close to one another. And so noise travels, and I get up for work often at 5 o'clock in the morning. 10 o'clock might not seem very late in the summer, but it can be when you're going to bed at 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And then I am a little concerned about fire danger. Fire rings are great. We all burn responsibly, and we all observe no burn, parameters. But will the renters? I trust my neighbors. I don't trust the Airbnbers. That's really my only concern. And I don't want to be the person who's policing. I don't want to, and in the same right, I don't want your property to be damaged. I don't want your home to be damaged. And I have seen instances where people have done that. So that's my concern. Thank you very much. Thank you.
What was your address again?
226.
We'll amend that to an opponent. An opponent to the applicant.
I can't hear you.
She came for a proponent
Not-
time slot,
Yeah,
not a proponent.
she did, but
It's,
I just want to mention it for the record. Are there any other proponents? So those in favor? Okay, uncommitted? All right, now remaining testimony of the opponents. Those against, please state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, I am Christopher Narvise. Address, is it mailing? Do you guys do mailing address? Is that it?
Physical's great.
Would be 932 Cottonwood with also family ties to the Davis Family Trust. And also, that was a really good presentation, Chris, by the way. Nothing against the homeowners. And my biggest concern, obviously, was the dogs with livestock. We run cows in the field to the west of their property and the south of Spink Lane itself. And, they cross, the cowboys, bring them side to side. Anyways, our biggest concern would be, with the dogs, maybe a gated yard for them, or like you said, that was a good idea with that. And our biggest thing is just to not have, the Airbnbers. I don't know if Airbnb does background checks. Like, I don't know if there's people with felonies in there. My children run around freely amongst the 700 or so acre ranch during hunting season as well, which, we just wanted everybody to be safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, is there any other testimony for the opposed? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and accept the rebuttal from the applicant. If you have any comments in regards to the public comments.
The biggest thing is like the policing. We don't want our neighbors having to police our renters either. He's got cameras on the property.
We've got cell cameras, game cameras with cellular service. We have 2 of them on there that monitor both, that look at the house and the RV spot. I get pictures twice a day, 7 a.m., 7 p.m. I can change that setting to where I get them more frequently. I can put more cameras up. I mean, I wish I could reassure them that if this becomes a nuisance for me, because I really don't like that either, I'm gonna sell the damn place. So I don't want any issues either. Like I can't stress that enough. Like she said earlier, we've spent many years building this place. This has been a 10-year project for us. We don't want to see it get damaged. We don't want to see it go down in fire. And I understand the concerns with the Airbnb renters. We can't background check them. I wish we could vet them a little bit more. I hope that's what Done Right does. I know they have multiple rental properties in the area, and I hope that I don't know, I can ask them, but I hope that they have a list of people that have not respected personal property of other homeowners, and then they just don't allow them to rent with them anymore. I can inquire about that, but I'm not sure where that's at. But we can't control everything, but we're trying to control the things that we can control.
And if Done Right isn't responsive, we're happy to give you our number. One of us will drive up here. An hour and 40 minutes, we'll make it happen. Right? So, I mean, no, we're not in California at least. But, if Done Right, who's here, can't get to it or isn't responsive, we're happy. Happy to come up.
Any questions? No questions.
Question.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we're going to go ahead and close the public hearing for deliberations of the commission. Commissioners.
I would say my main concern would just be ensuring as a condition of approval that any dogs are required to be on a leash to protect the surrounding livestock.
I agree. I had a couple items on, I think there needs to be a maintenance road agreement, especially if they're going to have something that, where you could have more traffic and new access. And, they've got toy haulers in there so they can have UTVs and those things that are more destructive to roads than what the standard traffic is.
So perhaps they either need to use the existing access which goes past the house,
Mhm.
or they would need to confirm that they have legal access.
And I don't, Cindy, give us guidance here, but you've got a lot of people on that road. These guys can't be responsible for if there's no agreement on that. For maintenance, and there is damage done to the road, gotta be,
They're only permitted to go as far as their property line.
but if that's where the damage is done, everybody going past that point has to go through that, right? So,
The condition I wrote down was access shall not be from the private road unless there's approval to use that private road in the maintenance agreement.
okay, I like that. So they can use
They
their
have
north,
frontage
their
right
south
here.
entrance, and then only the north if they get approval and agreement.
Right.
Okay.
Do we need to make more of a note? I think your condition of approval number 6 discusses the sewer. They must have approval from Central District Health. As of right now, they're saying they're just not letting people dump on site. Do we need to have clarification with that?
I'm getting to the condition. What did my condition say?
Number 6, must have approval of Central District Health Department to connect RV site to the septic system or put in a new system that is approved by Central District Health.
So a third caveat would be, must have approval from Central District Health, period.
Yeah.
And then take out the connect the RV and all that stuff.
Perfect.
Because if they work it out with Central District Health, that they've disconnected and they'll bury the cap, then we can carry on with that.
Or if they do it, whatever Central District Health has them do extend the drain field or whatever it might be. It's just so Central District Health is on our side.
We'll just make sure that Central District Health approves it. So I had a couple others, which is must have a rule that animals shall be restrained, and I did see that in their documentation.
I just would like it on our record.
And then cannot expand use with more RVs or tents unless it's their own personal use.
That's a good addition.
And
Can
I
we
will say,
require signage? Can we require signage for the,
as opposed to private property,
yeah, private property and for animals must be on a leash?
I think they've already posted the,
Sounded like they'd posted it, but we'll keep it so it stays maintained over time.
so, and just for your information, state statute allows short-term rentals, as you're aware. The only reason they had to get the conditional use permit for this was to rent out the RV.
Because it's because there's two on one site, correct?
Yes.
But they're still within the density
Yes.
with that, so.
Just want to make sure everyone understood that.
And on the, regarding the total number of guests, we have the 6 in the home, 4 in the RV. Is that coming from the applicant? Is that what staff's recommending?
That's what the applicant stated.
Okay. Okay,
All of it's based on Central District Health.
right.
motion.
I'll make a motion to approve CUP 25-001 Chad short-term rental and RV site rental with the addition of the proposed conditions of approval regarding the shared driveway, animals being leashed with, I just want to clarify, we will need Southwest District,
Central.
excuse me, Central District Health sign off with a maximum number of short-term rental guests at the home of 6 and a maximum number of rental guests at the RV site of 4. I
And
missed
then
one.
cannot expand the use.
Cannot expand the use without additional approval.
And must post the property.
Signage must be posted on the property, private property, and animals to be leashed.
I second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. The vote is to approve CUP 25-001 Chad short-term rental and RV site rental. There is a 10-day appeal period in which anyone can appeal the decision of the commission to the Board of County Commissioners in accordance with Title 9-5H-12 of the Valley County Code. Thank you all. Have a good evening. Now we will move on to, oh, okay. Cinda, can we recess for 8 minutes?
7.5.
I was gonna say 5. 10 is too long.
It's a short recess.
A short recess, please. Yes.
I will
Are we back on?
Yeah.
Do you need your buddy, Scott?
Yes. You don't want me doing this part. This is
We
way
did,
too
we did
technical.
say 8 minutes. Nice juice box, Cinda.
Thank you.
Oh my.
It's from the Board of County Commissioners refrigerator. It's a juicy juice.
I thought you usually have LaCroix in them.
Very berry juice. I had to just, they didn't have any waters.
Okay.
All right, we'll go ahead and pick it back up. The next item on our agenda is our sub 25-002 Tamarack Resort PUD 98-1 Phase 3.5 Ponderosa Ridge Subdivision Number 2 Preliminary Plat. At this time, I will open the public hearing. Has there been any ex parte contact, or does anyone have a conflict of interest?
No.
No.
No. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and proceed with the staff report. Cinda?
Okay, so this one is a final approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission because it was previously platted.
Okay.
The next one is going to be a recommendation because it's an amendment to the PUD, just so that we don't get confused on that.
Okay.
Okay. The applicant's Tamarack Resort 2 and Tamarack Real Estate Holdings LLC. The site is Lot 13, Block 19, Phase 2 of the village, and a portion of Block 19, Phase 1 of the village within the Tamarack Resort PUD boundary. The site is 4.6 acres. You're requesting a CUP to amend Lot 13, Block 19, Phase 2, and a portion of Block 19, Phase 1 village within the boundaries. The plat includes 13 villa lots and easements for access, utilities, and a ski lift. Lots will average 0.26 acres in size, and they will be accessed from Ponderosa Ridge Court onto Village Drive. Both are paved private roads. The site is served by North Lake Recreational Water and Sewer District and Tamarack Municipal Water. The 4-acre site currently is known as the Design Plaza and is used for offices, employee daycare, and 6 units of temporary workforce housing. These uses will be moved elsewhere within Tamarack Resort. They're all just manufactured homes. Here. If the original approved PUD 98-1 facilities plan, the site was designed as townhouses 10 in Phase 4 and allowed 20 townhomes. The plan has the general location and density of the golf, ski, and commercial facilities, as well as the different types of residential units in Tamarack Resort. Section E of the facilities, Section 1 application overview, allows Tamarack Resort to modify the facilities plan without further county approval. The order of construction may be modified, the mix of dwelling units may be altered, and the total number of dwelling units of 2,043 may not be exceeded within the boundaries of PUD 98-1 Tamarack Resort. The required neighborhood meeting was held on December 30th at the Arling Center Schoolhouse. They also sent some mailers out in lieu of some neighborhood meeting. Application was submitted January 23rd. Proper meeting was done. Mike Reno, Central District Health, stated an application and engineering is required. Plans for central sewer and central water must be submitted and approved by DEQ. Ms. Ellis, Donnelly Fire Marshal, listed the requirements for roads, driveways, hydrants, fire flow, fire alarms, sprinklers, address posting, etc. Brandon Flack with Fish and Game. His letter was just put here for your information, the one dated November 21st that was submitted for other people. DEQ's boilerplate letter was attached. We received no public comments. Existing buildings will be moved or demolished, and the site is sloped and partially leveled. This is categorized under 2 residential uses, H planned unit development. There were provisions in the original PUD that allowed maximum flexibility and moving locations of densities throughout the development. And those are listed in number 9 for you. I did not do a compatibility rating because this isn't a change in use. The site is within Donley Fire District and Water District 65. It's not within an irrigation district or a HERD district. Plat shows an easement for a chairlift. Chairlift will need to be part of a conditional use permit prior to construction. Because the chairlift wasn't on the original plan, so they'll have to apply for approval of that. Where will all of the existing structures be located? Are these destinations already approved? Commission should be aware about the flexibility allowed in the original PUD, and if anybody is ever interested to see that approved application, it's quite large, and I can show you where all of that flexibility was put into that approved PUD. And then the original approved application for Tamarack Resort is available for review in the Planning and Zoning Office. Conditions of approval are typical. For the final plat shall be recorded within 2 years, or this permit will be null and void. Must comply with the requirements previously approved as PUD 9801 Tamarack Resort and any subsequent amendments. Must have a will serve letter from Northside Corporation Sewer and Water District guaranteeing that sewer capacity is available for immediate service prior to recordation of the final plat. An approval letter from Donley Fire Department is required prior to recording the final plat. At some points, when it gets to the board level, if they don't have their hydrants tested and stuff, the board will put a condition on that final plat. Just so you're aware of that. Shall place addressing numbers at each unit. All easements shall be shown on the final plat. Shall have Valley County engineer approval for the site grading stormwater management plan prior to disturbance of soils. May need to negotiate with the Board of County Commissioners concerning the capital contribution agreement. So when Tamarack was originally approved, there was a capital contribution agreement. It was amended, so the active one is called the amended capital contribution agreement. And they had phased different off-site road improvements that is generated or kicked on by number of units developed, or what phase they're in throughout the development. And that's something that is relayed and discussed with the Board of County Commissioners. So there will be that discussion. And the board will determine whether or not it keys into the next phase of that capital contribution agreement.
And so that's a separate hearing?
No.
How is that addressed?
Board of County Commission, they will go to the Board of County Commissioners. If you approve this, it's a condition. They have to talk to Dan Kuntz and the Board of County Commissioners, make sure they're in compliance with that. They were scheduled in February to update the board and talk about some of these things. But we had to cancel that one, and they will be doing that again soon.
Okay.
Tamarack is an active live PUD application, and they periodically come in and update and talk about those capital contribution agreement keys.
Okay, so in approving this, there will be additional things will probably be triggered within that agreement.
That's what we're looking for.
Triggered.
That's
Okay.
up to the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay.
Because I think it was phase 4 that triggered the next phase of the capital contribution agreement.
Got it.
And that's truly over in the heritage portion, which we haven't even started to touch.
Got it.
And they're only at like 700 units or something. But anyway, I'll let them take care of that. And then they have to put those notes on the final plat. And that ends my staff. Oh, I'll show you. This is the area that they're platting. And they're extending this Ponderosa Ridge Court into this area, and it appears that they're closing this access point here. This is where they used to have their office management. There's currently some housing, some daycare. These are just portable units. I think they had a post office up in here somewhere. And so it's this area. This is the plat. This is where they come in from Ponderosa Ridge Court. Here's that easement for the ski lift. And here's Discovery Drive. I'm sorry, Village Drive. Discovery doesn't happen until you get to the third roundabout or something. And that ends my staff report.
Thank you, Cinda. Any questions for Cinda? Okay. All right, at this time, we'll take the presentation by the applicant. Please state your name and address for the record.
I'm Chris Kirk, 58 Volva Falls, Tamarack, and also Fountain Hills, Arizona, time to time. The land planning consultant for the resort. Cinda's done a pretty fine job giving you an overall. Couple of things. Cinda, could you go back to the assessor map? What we're proposing to do is, as Cinda described, is access this site from Ponderosa Ridge Court and not access it from the existing access off of Village Drive. And really, the reason for that is that existing access is blind. It's steep, blind. It's a dangerous access point. So, so we're essentially going to combine the two developments together and create one. So that, yeah, there you go. The ski lift, we don't know if we're going to do that or not. At some point, we're looking at the possibility of taking skiers from the parking lot area and transporting them to the village as we expand the village to the north. But we don't know if we're going to do that, but we don't want to foreclose on it for the future. So hence the easement is being platted. And it's it gives everybody a heads up just in case if we do it in the future. I'm available to answer any questions you might have.
Do you have any questions from the
I have no
applicant?
questions.
I'm not sure if this is more of a question for the applicant or Cinda. Under the PUD flexibility amendment that you included, it does say that this project is broken into 5 phases of 3 years each, plus a 1-year pre-development phase totaling 16-year build-out. We're past this. I'm guessing this has been addressed previously.
Way past.
Okay.
The board, they've gone to the P&Z, updated them. They've gone to the board and got approval to
Okay.
extend that.
I assumed, I just wanted to bring that up if it had not been addressed.
So basically, those timelines have died, and
Right.
they're just progressing in a reasonable manner through the phasing.
Okay,
It's well established, so.
okay, great.
Did you want to add anything?
Pull up that final plot real quick. Okay, that answers it. Thank you, Cindy.
All right, this is a public hearing, so is there any testimony of proponents? Uncommitted? Opponents? All right, at this time, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close the public hearing for deliberations. Commissioners?
I don't have any questions. Seems pretty straightforward at this point. It's been well vetted.
Great.
I really like the closing off of that access to the area, actually. Coming in through Village.
Well, I will make a motion to approve SUB 25-002 Tamarack Resort PUD 98-1 Phase 3.5 with the conditions as listed in the staff report.
Second?
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Motion has been approved. There is a 10-day appeal period in which anyone can appeal the decision of the commission to the Board of County Commissioners in accordance with Title 9-5H-12 of the Valley County Code. Great, next on our agenda is Tamarack Resort PUD 98-1, Amendment Sub 25-004, Phase 3.6, Aspen Townhomes Preliminary Plat and Parking Lot Relocation. At this time, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing. Has there been any ex parte contact, or does anyone have a conflict of interest?
No.
No.
No. Hearing none, we'll go ahead and get the staff report. Cinda, please.
I'm just trying to find a good picture that shows everything together.
Oh.
Probably the best we'll do up here. Okay, so the staff report for PUD 98-1, amendment, SUB 25-004, phase 3.6, Aspen Townhomes, and the parking lot relocation. The applicants are Tamarack Resort 2 and Tamarack Real Estate Holdings. The site is a portion of Tamarack Resort Block 19, Phase 1 Village. It's approximately 18 acres. Request is for 60 townhomes, open space, and a parking area. Tamarack Resort 2 is requesting an amendment to the approved PUD for the following. Allow residential lots in an area that was identified as a parking lot in the original PUD by approving a 60 townhome subdivision plat and add a 5-acre parcel adjacent to the northeast corner of the current boundary for a parking area named Trillium Parking Lot. The current Aspen parking lot, which is located here, let me look here. So here's the current parking lot. This is where they're going to put the 60 townhomes. And the parking will go up here.
On the additional parcel.
I believe just in this area. They'll have to put here.
Lay down here.
And, well, this area. This will be included in the PUD here. They purchased this. Okay, that's the 5.16 acres. So the townhomes and then the parking. So the current Aspen parking lot was described as the entry parking lot in the original PUD as part of the development of Phase 1. It included parking and an entry information center designed as B63 of the facilities plan. When this was originally approved, each lot was assigned a number with an approved use. That's why it took quite a number of years to go through it. And that original parking lot was B63. Facilities plan has the general location and density of golf, ski, and commercial facilities, as well as the different types of residential uses in Tamarack Resort. Section E, Facilities, Section 1, allows Tamarack Resort to modify the facilities plan without further county approval. The order of construction may be modified, the mix of dwelling units may be altered, so long as the total number of units doesn't go over the 2,043. Within certain percentages in the different phasing. The required neighborhood meeting was held on December 30th at the Arling Center. Proper legal notice was completed. The application was submitted January 23rd. Mike Reno, Central District Tel, stated an application and engineering is required. Plans for central sewer and central water must be submitted and approved by DEQ. Jess Ellis is working with the applicants. The November 21st letter from Fish and Game was just added for your review. And then DEQ submitted their standard letter. We received no public comments. The site is sloped and has been partially leveled. That was kind of carried over from the last staff report. Oops. That's just weird because page 2 was from the somehow got into this staff report. That's from the other one.
Yeah, she printed off the new one.
Yeah, for Ponderosa. Do you have the correct page?
No, I don't. So, agency comments received. Mike Rito had his same comments, Jess had his comments. Kendra Conder at ITD stated impacts to the state highway system can be anticipated. Mississippi Resort expansion will require a traffic study. Okay, well, that further explains everything. I thought I'd gone into some depths about what was going on here. Okay, so I'm gonna go back about the general explanation of this. So the Aspen Townhomes, the current proposal will plat a subdivision with a 62-story townhomes and open space lots on 11 acres. That's these here. This is the plat. So this is the Aspen Townhomes. Here's the entrance off of West Mountain. And this will be what people see now when they enter Tamarack. Each unit will have a 2-car garage, and the site is served by North Lake Recreational Sewer and Water and Tamarack Municipal Water. Parking would be located to the north, and the PUD boundaries expanded. There's the parking lot. It goes up into that piece here. Okay, so that's the configuration. And there will be a roundabout placed here. So this will be the new entrance into the parking lot. So this will be the parking lot. It goes up into here. The new 7-acre parking area that will be called Trillium Parking Lot would hold approximately 864 cars and 14 RV sites serviced with electrical power. Access to the parking lot would be from a new roundabout along Village Drive, with secondary and emergency access from West Mountain Road. Trillium parking lot would be buffered from the existing homes in Royal Scott subdivision by a 30-foot setback and landscaping. Parking lot design includes snow storage areas, stormwater settling basins, and BMPs for runoff. The 5 acres here, immediately adjacent to the approved boundary, will be included in PUD 98-1. In 2023, the Board of County Commissioners approved amending PUD 98-1 to include that parcel, and it was for the cottages at Trillium Creek, but those were never completed, and so that approval will just expire with this approval. There's no need to vacate it or anything like that, because nothing was ever recorded. The Tamarack PUD still only allows a maximum of 2,043 dwelling units. Currently, there are 653 dwelling units that have been platted. The additional 60 townhome units would bring the count to 713 dwelling units. So they still have quite a ways to go. Okay, then we'll go back. Page 3. I think I covered that one. My comments and questions. I did not complete the compatibility rating because I didn't believe there was any sort of a change. Besides within the Donnelly Fire District and Water District 65, it's not within an irrigation district or HER district. Paragraph describing the flexibility is inserted here. The original approved application for Tamarack Resort is available for review in the P&Z office. Descriptions of the parcels are here. And they're going to deed right-of-way along this piece here, Valley County, for additional right-of-way for West Mountain. And when all this is over, we will have a 100-foot right-of-way going clear down Tamarack borders. And I think that basically ends my staff report, unless you have questions. I think it's Kind of simple, you know, the 60-unit townhomes here, a new access point here, and the parking lot will be moved here.
Any questions for staff?
I have one question regarding ITD's comment.
Uh-huh.
Is that's based on any development forward? They don't know about the PUD. So
That will be a discussion between ITD, AMRAC, and the Board of County Commissioners. Because built into that capital contribution agreement is a provision to participate in putting a light in Donley.
okay.
And I think that that's phase 4.
Okay, so
That we're getting close to that trigger, but that's between ITD, TAMRAC, and the Board of County Commissioners.
okay,
Negotiate that.
and to comply with ITD's requirements.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, negotiate
Right.
with ITD and the Board of County Commissioners.
Okay.
And Cinda, all of the homes that are around the new parcel, the undeveloped parcel there right now, all of those people have been notified they're gonna now be next to a parking lot. And there's no comments back from any of those folks.
We notified people within 300 feet and they sent out notice for their neighborhood meeting.
Okay.
What?
What's that? Notice twice. Okay.
And we had no comments.
That would be my concern if there's no feedback. I mean, probably not the right time to say that, but
Yeah, they're gonna have a 30-foot setback with landscaping. And they've had this parking lot here for,
they've just had that nice 5-acre buffer up there that
yeah.
now you know what questions we'll have.
All right. Now we'll go ahead and take the presentation by the applicant. State your name and address for the record.
I'm Chris Kirk, 58 Belleville Falls, Tamarack, and land planning consultant for the ownership. The reason we're going through this process is although the existing Aspen parking lot is very convenient to all of our visitors and guests, doesn't really create such a great positive first impression. It's a little bit of a back of a house experience. So it just came to light after taking a very close look at doing cottages up in that 5-acre parcel. That really became sort of a disjointed residential development from the rest of our development. And after further analysis, we felt that by relocating the Aspen parking lot north into that 5 acres, and at the same time creating a really positive first impression with some really nicely designed townhomes and nicely sited townhomes, it would make sort of a better project for the resort as a whole. So that's the basic rationale why we're doing what we're doing. Your point about your question about the impacts on the neighbors. The feedback we got from the homeowners during the neighborhood meeting was the people to the west along that boundary. Actually, we had pretty much full attendance, I think, on those folks. They offered up. There was no real major concerns, except obviously a parking lot in their face. They offered up the fact that if we wanted to berm, that with a 30-foot, we're going to have a 30-foot setback, and then we're going to landscape it. But they offered up some of their property. If we wanted to actually extend the berm into their property a little bit, we could work together on that thereby creating a higher berm. The fellow that to the northeast, where that little triangular piece is, he contacted us via email and had some email back and forth with him and offered up that we're happy to meet with him understood his concerns. I mean, it's really going to be, he's going to be now looking at what used to be a nicely treed area, a parking lot. Then we work with him on landscaping and doing whatever visual mitigation we could do to, you know, to help him. So, we don't know what that is yet. I was here last month and we were gonna meet, we never got together. So I intend to meet with him and we'll just see what comes out of it. So, happy to open it up for questions if you have any.
I have a question regarding the parking. Are you gaining parking spots or are you
Yeah.
losing spots?
So existing Aspen is 520 parking
Okay.
spaces, and that's improved. That's the improved parking, which you don't see on the aerial. That's without trees and everything kind of mowed down. This is going to be about 864 nominal. I mean, it's a little bit fungible, but 860 is my count, plus the RV parking sites to the north.
And is there electric charging? Is that what I'm seeing on here too?
Electric only, we're
Okay.
not going to put sewer and water up there.
Okay, and then Cinda, I'm assuming within the PUD, there's a requirement for parking per unit they're in compliance with that.
Yes. They have parking here. They have parking up by the village. They have
Right.
underground parking. And we went through all those details.
Okay.
Are there any restroom facilities down in that parking lot?
No.
Any other comments? Okay, thank you. All right, we'll go ahead and take public testimony of any proponents. Any uncommitted? Any opponents? Okay. Empty room. Hearing none, we will go ahead and close the public hearing for commissioners to deliberate.
This is a recommendation.
Oh, it's a recommendation. Yes.
I don't have any questions, concerns.
No, I think sounds like they're working with the neighbors. That's the biggest concern I would have, and going through that additional open space. But if there's no wetlands and they're working with the neighbors, I think I can go forward from.
I would agree with that. I think it's a really good proposal to clean up that corner. Yeah. And I think most of the homeowners actually utilize those parking spaces for their RVs and boats and all
Summer.
that stuff. So I don't know why they would be opposed to the additional parking. So I will.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of Tamarack Resort PUD 98-1 amendment sub 25-004 phase 3.6 Aspen Townhomes preliminary plot and parking lot relocation.
Second that.
All right, that's been moved and seconded. Everyone in favor of the recommendation?
Aye.
Aye. All right, this is a recommendation to the board, and it will automatically go to the Board of County Commissioners. All right, now we'll move on to our other business. Thank you, gentlemen. CUP 12-11 ASAP portables, ratification of the 2025 stipulation and consent agreement. This is an action item. And Cinda, you're gonna have to help me here.
Sure, this is ASAP portable units. They received their original approval. Oh, there's a whole history here. 2012. And they have yet to comply with the requirements. They've been back in front of the P&Z Commission 3 or 4 times, amending or changing or saying how they're in compliance. Legal counsel assisted and wrote a stipulation previously, and Ned Crossley, the owner, signed it, and it was ratified by the Planning and Zoning Commission. He did not comply with it. He didn't put in his landscaping or complete his buildings like he was supposed to do. And so we told him last fall that we were going to revoke his conditional use permit by January 31st if he did not come in, if he did not comply, and then come in and sign this new agreement, which requires him to complete this by July. We're giving him one last shot. He came and signed it at last week or the week before.
19.
Right. So, February 19th, yep. So all we're asking the Planning and Zoning Commission to do is to ratify this agreement.
And so we're just extending this into July. Okay.
And then I don't know that we would ever want to continue that. At some point, he needs to come into compliance.
That's what I was gonna recommend. It's been years if I
13
read
years.
this right.
Yeah, I can only imagine being a neighbor.
Why, yeah. Why extend it?
Because it's probably the easiest thing to do with him. And give him one last shot. It's hard to force somebody to stop using their property and kick them off of their property. This is our way to try to bring him into compliance.
And so if he doesn't come into compliance by July, how is that process?
Then I believe legal counsel could probably take it to court.
Got it.
We followed the due diligence at that point, or due process.
That would be up to legal counsel.
Okay.
That would be our hope, that we revoke his CUP and make him clean up his property.
Can't imagine we would need to be more lax than what we have been so far.
We've been trying for years. So, a motion
So we
to,
would need a,
I'll make a motion to ratify the 2025 stipulation and consent agreement. And I would just like to make a note that I would not like to see this extended past that date if he does not comply.
Second that motion.
it's been moved and seconded. All in favor of the ratification? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Moving on to facts and conclusions. Variance 24-007, Hodge setback variance. Vacation 24-004, foul vacation of utility easements. And sub 25-001, Tamarack Resort PUD, seconded amended phase 1. Can we do this all
yes, do
together?
them all together, please.
And this is a motion to approve and have me sign.
I'll make a motion to approve the facts and conclusions, variance 24-007, vacation 24-004, sub 25-001, and I ask the chairman to sign. Instruct the chairman to sign.
Second?
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And with that, I will adjourn our Valley County Planning and Zoning March 13th meeting at 8:11 p.m.
What do I say there? We recommend
Authorizes.
authorize.